We also teach the weave that works along with the law of reverse effect. A lot of us struggle with a lot of negative thoughts or beliefs about ourselves, so this technique has been very beneficial for me. When those negative thoughts come up, we use what's called blue words and then use that with something positive. I like to think of it as I'm driving in my car and there's no good radio stations coming through, and so I've got my cell phone with my Pandora and all my good downloads, but how do I get my good stuff to transpire through the radio in my car system so I can jam out? So I like to think of it as the positives are my phone and the negatives the radio, and I'm using Bluetooth as these glue words. So it takes the positive and pulls it up and it's coming through. So instead of saying I am angry, right, we use emotional statements. I feel angry versus making it an identity level statement. So I feel angry, and some of the glue words are still, although, moreover, furthermore, nevertheless, still, yet, and we have multiple words you can use, and then you say I am calm. So I feel angry, still I am calm, and it naturally weaves that negative and turns it into a positive using these auxiliary words that plug one into the other. And it's helpful to read these in a pattern aloud to yourself, and as you get more familiar with the process, it becomes out, you have a negative thought pop up and you just weave it in your head. You don't even have to say it out loud, and it instantly takes that and turns it into a positive.
So Whitney, real quick, you said something about an identity level statement. Can you explain to our viewers what exactly an identity level statement is?
An identity level statement is I am. It goes in as an identity level statement. That's what you are. I am, and the subconscious is very powerful. It takes things very literal. So I am angry. I believe I'm just an angry person, and it becomes a generalization, right? You hear people say, I'm always angry. It's a generalization. Are you really always angry?
No.
You're not always angry. And anger is an emotion. As you learn to practice this and integrate it into your linguistics, you're identifying it as an emotion. It's just an emotional state. And then you can use it with the I am, with a positive, and make that become I am happy, I am calm. And it becomes more powerful in the subconscious.
So you're saying that as I use I am statements, it goes into my subconscious as an identity belief about myself. Mm-hmm. So anything that I say I am, my subconscious mind files it as I identify with that which I stated I am. So instead of saying I am, saying I feel makes it a present emotional response instead of an identity level statement.
Well, and even say it, I am angry versus I feel angry. It even feels softer as you state it to yourself. You can feel the difference in your body as you make these statements. The words we use are very powerful in the way they affect us.
Wow.
I've heard it said, and I'm not sure where it was from, but the quote or the statement was, be mindful what you place after I am, for it creates identity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And it's so beneficial to understand and know about these linguistics, especially in regards to this weave technique, because you can create the identity, your identity, and really anything you can think of. It's part of your identity. So I can use that to my benefit, because I can think of love, I can think of success, I can think of intelligence, I can think of being teachable, I can think, a lot of different things. And me being able to think of it is the evidence, is proof that it is part of me. It is me. So the more I focus on these positives, which, and for me, I use it mostly with, the shitty committee is what they call it.
Yeah.
And that, all that begins happening and going on. And, things like, sometimes maybe even in response to, because of the way the law of reverse effect works, well, I just heard that I'm intelligent. Maybe I'm not so intelligent. At the same time, I know of the law of reverse effect. I understand the way it works, and so this is just playing out like this. And so what I can do is I can be positive and mindful that I have the knowledge of that's the way it works, even though it's kind of harmful the way that I respond. Furthermore, I can be positive about it and believe that I'm intelligent because I am intelligent.
I noticed as I was listening to you speak just now, you were literally weaving what you were saying. He was saying something that was counterproductive to his personal character and his beliefs about himself. And then he used these glue words that Whitney suggested, like furthermore, you heard him use furthermore and nevertheless. And then he said something that he would rather believe about himself or that he already knows about himself, which is super cool.
Well, and the more you repeat this, it does play into a natural part of the way you talk that's very beneficial. And even if it doesn't become a natural part of the way you talk, still the more you practice using it, it's going to bring those positives up to conscious. So you get a compliment instead of just, yeah, but you start to believe it about yourself, and that positive is what comes up because it becomes a program. The more you repeat it in the subconscious, it becomes a program. And this is what's going to come up for conscious access.
Right.
And this is a great segue into the very fact that words are extremely powerful. And as we choose to monitor our linguistics as we speak, they become less defeating. I mean, it's so unfortunate how, as human beings, how hard it is, how hard we are on ourselves. It's extremely unfortunate that we talk so bad to ourselves in our private moments when we're only in our minds, and how judgmental we are on ourselves and how detrimental this judgment becomes in our daily life as it's compounded and repeated upon. And the simple idea that we are conveying, we consciously choose the way that we believe about ourselves. It's a program that we run on that's been fortified by our conscious response to different data that we've received. And as we consciously choose to redirect our focus and our thoughts and be aware of ourselves and the words we choose to use and how we choose to use them, it becomes literally transformative in our nature, in our structure of ourselves, in the way that we view ourselves. And that's how the internal affects the outer world. And that's the paradigm that we choose to exist in today, is that it starts within each and every one of us. And as we shift internally and choose to view ourselves as amazing individuals, all of us are just so amazing. As we choose to view ourselves as amazing and intelligent and bright and spiritual, our outer world shifts. And we see others as beautiful and intelligent and inspirational and powerful and beautiful. It's an amazing thing, this material, and the effect that it's had on my personal life. It's incredible. When I first came into the treatment program where I learned this material called Matter Behavioral Health, J.D. Marvin created this material. I personally used the absolute truth technique as a foundational premise to believe in myself. Because really, and you said it earlier, that when you were telling us the story about the exam that you took, you said that you became willing to believe that the concept would work. I think it's paramount in self-discovery. And until you believe in your own character and your ability and your capabilities to change your life, you're not going to be able to change your life or change the way you think. You've got to start and become willing to believe, right? What is that poem that you are always recite with?
Be willing to believe with inconclusive evidence based upon truth, reality, fairness, reliability of someone or something. Make a decision and continue choosing. Because if with our conscious minds, it's a process of perceive, evaluate, judge, and decide. And you really think if you make a decision about something, it takes away doubt. And then your choices, if you've made that decision, your choices will naturally line up, and you can take a second and think, hey, I've made this decision. Is this choice going to align with this decision? A lot of us don't have conclusive evidences of being successful up to certain points. So, being willing to believe without conclusive evidence. And, truth is the truth, whether we believe it or not. Reality's reality, whether we believe it or not. And God is God, whether we choose to believe it or not. And who's losing when we choose not to believe or have doubt or skepticism or mistrust? it's us that's losing out, because it is what it is. We're the ones losing when we choose not to believe in ourselves or someone else or see the positive in things. We're the ones losing out. Be willing to believe with inconclusive evidence based upon truth, reality, fairness, and reliability of someone or something. Make a decision and continue choosing based upon this decision.
You know, I have a little bit of a personal story when it comes to linguistics. You know, it was the absolute truth, like I had talked about before, and really effective for me. And then the weave is extremely effective for me when it comes to just my own thoughts. Because too many times in my life, I leave my thoughts, and, you know, I go to break state from my thoughts, and it being a negative, right? Mm-hmm. And so no wonder what's coming up to conscious often is a bunch of negative crap.
I can relate.
And so using the weave in linguistics in regards to my thought patterns changed a whole lot of things. So initially with when I got to Matter Behavioral Health, I had heard about change. I was told I had to change for years, decades, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. Like, I'd go back to a court in front of a judge that had told me I needed to change or I was going to jail or prison. And I would review before I, you know, got up to the podium. Like, okay, so how did I change? It's like, well, I'll probably go to prison today. And because I couldn't figure out for the life of me forever the applicable definition of change. Like, it just, I could hear it, I could read the definition of it, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't get it. And when I started realizing change is simply, you know, doing different in same or similar situations. Okay, so what's a way I can do different in same or similar situations? Well, linguistics, like, that was tangible for me.
Yeah.
You know, all this other rocket science or whatever, it just wasn't at the time for me. I just couldn't get it at the time. My brain wouldn't wrap around anything except for, like, tangible at the moment. And so I can change the words I use. I can work on my tonation when I'm speaking, especially in regards to myself. Yeah. These things I can do. Like, I can notice when I make a mistake, or, you know, in my linguistics, and back up and, you know, correct it, and work for improvement. This was possible for me. So linguistics is where not only my recovery, it's my life changed. It is the foundational concepts and techniques for my life to make the change it has today.
That's awesome.
What we know up to right now is largely due to our programs, okay? The way we were programmed to interpret meanings of things, to understand things based off somebody else's programming, and from their programming, and from their programming. And so information over, you know, hundreds of years, or even 10 years, or even 10 days, you know, gets filtered dramatically. And so when we begin to learn our language and use certain words our parents are using, it doesn't mean because they're our parents that those words mean what they think they mean.
Right.
It doesn't mean that everything they teach us, and from, you know, from clergy members, our parents and uncles, teachers, whatever, just because it comes out of their mouth and they say it, or that's their direction, or that's what they're modeling for us, doesn't mean it's accurate or right or true. It is just what it is. And so when we find ourselves in our, you know, when we identify our closed systems, and we identify that the way in which we're using our language is affecting us in our relationships, and the way that we communicate with other people, when we come to this awareness, then we have choice. You know, we can make changes from there. And very often with many words, and especially, like, you know, generalizations and stuff. As you notice, I said very often, 5 years ago, that would have been every time. Or none of the time. And statements like that just aren't true, and they have a tremendous effect on the subconscious. Not only on my own subconscious, but when we're communicating with other people. And so words and their meanings, their true definition, these are important for us to come to understand and use words correctly. Use our tonation correctly. Use who we are effectively with those that we love.
And not even just using it correctly. I mean, yes, that would be the ultimate goal, but still paying attention to your linguistics and your body language, it helps you identify programs. So then you can choose to change them, which for me was the most important part, When I talk about something, why am I saying I'm trying to do this before I even try to do this? Because I'm automatically thinking I'm just going to fail at it.
Right.
So what's going on with me? And then I can say I'm working on them. But for me, the most key part was identifying those programs and those belief systems I was running on, so then I could choose to change them. And that was imperative for me.
I was at Matter in the sunroom. This was probably 7 or 8 months ago, and I'm telling my story. I don't do it very often, but I was telling my story, and I noticed a couple of times as I'm sharing my story and talking in front of 41 people. I know out there, the audience, maybe that's not like super significant, but I'm used to teaching a group of people that's like 10 to 20 people, and for me to, get really vulnerable in front of 41 people was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm telling my story, and I'm like, I notice myself as I'm talking, say that, and this, and I was like, everything just was like I almost just stopped talking altogether. But it's important, like you're saying, notice the language and what we're saying, our body language, so that we can identify the beliefs that we have, and so that we can work to change these beliefs that we have. And when we change the beliefs we have, the change from there is almost automatic. We change the belief, we change everything.
Yeah, and we're talking about discovering the literal definition and meaning of words. They are very powerful. Until I had an experience here while in the drug treatment program at Matter with the word integrity, and what I thought integrity meant and what it really meant. And we're talking about programs, right? And if I'm running on a program of my interpretation of integrity, that's how I'm going to believe integrity exists in my life, right? I'm going to function based upon my interpretation of the word integrity. And what we're talking about is discovering for yourself the literal definition. And when I looked up and did it's called chunking. It's chunking down the definition of a word, and you get more information this way. When I looked up and defined for myself what integrity actually meant, it allowed me to really challenge some of the past programs that I was running on in regards to integrity. I did 14 years in prison. So, as you can only imagine, integrity was very distorted for me. At one point in my life, I thought it was having integrity to protect somebody who had just committed a criminal act. That is an extremely distorted definition of what integrity actually means. And after compounding and repeating off of these criminal mindsets and these interpretations of said words, I had created programs that allowed me to, even in recovery, continue with this distorted meaning of integrity until I really looked it up and wrote down the definition and wrote down the definition of all the words in that definition. I was better able to challenge the past programs that I was running on autopilot on in regards to integrity, and then start choosing, having choice, now knowing the literal definition and my program definition and being able to choose, right? And that's what we're affording each other and ourselves as we learn this material and start to apply its principles. We're giving ourselves true choice between that one and this one, right?
I love that you brought up the word integrity. And this might be a little bit off script, I don't know, but I'm gonna go with the word integrity. Similar backstories. Didn't serve that much time in prison. A lot of time in jail.
It's all the same, brother.
Did some time in prison. God, integrity. You know, when I came, when I got into matter behavioral health for my treatment, it's interesting because it was one of the things I could identify I lacked to its true meaning.
Right.
Like, how can a chameleon be integral?
Right.
Like, that's not that it wasn't. All it was doing for me was hiding from the world, hiding from myself, and it kept me wrapped up in my addiction. So one of the things for me to be integral or to have integrity was to figure out a way to be the same person, same loving person, caring. And it didn't even start with all those things because I was challenged to love anything or anyone at the time. But it was learning to be the same person, the same way, anywhere I was. And so this is the way I practiced it, was just to practice being the application of being in integrity.
Well, I believe that we're very aware because we for sure learned that from you and modeled after that. And it was one of the biggest key things in our recovery, you know, that I truly admire in you. And I remember you having that conversation with me.
It was fundamental. It was fundamental in my recovery and changing my life.
Yeah.
Had I not, like, that's scary. I can't even tell you how incredibly scary it is to think that, okay, I get to find a way to be me, who I truly am, in front of my wife, in front of Janie, in front of the other clients, on the hall, in the bathroom by myself, no matter where I was, in front of my parents, in front of my bishop. It didn't matter where I was. It was, I get to find a way to be the same person with the same behaviors, the same thinking, regardless of where I'm at. Because this chameleon act, this identity of mine that I'd created with so much repetition and compounding, it only got me to, you know, close to death, in prison, in jail, in trouble, horrible relationships, through a divorce, almost another one. I couldn't live that way anymore. That, and I say that, did not work for me. And I got to change it.
Yep.
And so I began practicing. And I almost faltered a couple of times. You know, I did. There was a one time I was coming back to the facility where I was actually trying to talk myself into hiding something. I made it about 2 hours here, and then I was just like, all right, get the group, I get the counselor, everyone get in here. I have to tell you all, everyone. When we call Jamie, I'm going to tell her too. I realize I'll probably never be able to go on a home visit again. I get that, but I don't care. I can't do this. I'm changing. I will. This is going to happen. I will be integral even if it hurts me. Yep. And I did it. And then I kept doing it. And then with the repetition and compound of doing it, and then having like incredible models like Jeannie and like Linda and Dion and my wife in a lot of ways, my dad, my mom, I was able to change and learn how to change. Learn the ways of changing.
There was a time in my program here at Matter when Whitney challenged me to the same challenge.
I'll bet she did.
It's good.
She told me to pretend like somebody that I respect and would like to model after, which I chose Janie Marvin. Pretend like imagine that she's with you in every she's next to you everywhere you go in this house. And it really did an amazing thing. I accepted the challenge and I applied it like he said, and it pointed out to me all the times when I would have been someone different than who my true self actually is. And it was surprising. It was very surprising. And it was a challenge at first. It was very rewarding as I chose to continue, though. It's really cool.
Not real simple, huh? At
No.
first. It's scary. It's like, who will I be?
Right.
If I'm not this chameleon.
Right.
Who will I be if I'm not hiding? Who will I be if I don't have felony court cases?
Mm-hmm.
Who will I be if I'm the person that people are scared of? Who will I be then? And man, it was nothing like I thought then.
Yeah.
Well, and you hear this all the time. It's, it's beautiful overcoming prison and, living a recovery-based lifestyle. There's people that, you hear them say it all the time, that's just who I am. That's the way I am. And it's such bullshit, and they identify who they are with their job or, what they do for a living or what they drive or their family and they're not talking about who they are. They identify with these other things, and
Outside of themselves.
Or it's the helpless, hopeless, worthless, and I'm, other referenced, and it's in direct correlation with true self. You're literally fighting because who you truly are is fighting to come out.
And we wonder why we have chaos.
Yeah.
Why we're can't keep a relationship, can't figure out how to communicate with others. You end up, you're in trouble with anyone and everyone. Everyone's upset with you.
Yep.
You have problems, yeah, for sure.
And it helps you correspond better with others, right? Most of us aren't good at communicating. We've never been taught to communicate effectively, especially being mindful of our linguistics and the beautiful thing of learning body language is you gain rapport with someone, and even if they're closed off, you can shift the dynamic of the conversation by being mindful of your body language and the words you're using and the effects these have on the energy, and a response to it. And it's and saying I get to instead of I have to was huge for me. Right. I would get mad. I gotta wake up at what time? I get to wake up. Or I gotta go do the dishes. I get to do and sure didn't believe it in the beginning. The more you do it and find the gratitude in these things, it made a huge difference in my life and still does today.
Yeah, and, just like Whitney was saying the other, earlier with another thing, it's feel the difference in the energy when you say these things. And if we had one of those little shows where it was like, okay, audience, speak with me, even though we're not going to do that, I would encourage you to say it. What are the things that you get to do today? And say it. I have to go to the bank. I have to drop the kids off. I have to pick them up from school. I have to go here. I have to do the laundry. And just notice how you feel. Just take mind of how you feel. And then, kind of break state, do something else, and then come back to it and say, I get to take the kids to school. I get to walk the dog. I get to do laundry. I get to, and it's like almost exciting. Mm-hmm. The energy is kind of exciting. Mm-hmm. It's like just feeling it. And we respond to these words.
Yep.
We respond with incredible difference.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but for me, I get to live a life that's positive. I get to live a life with energy and excitement and ready to do things and take things on. Part of my purpose is to help people, and I can't help anybody unless I have it. I'm there. I'm excited. I'm energized. I'm ready to roll. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's know thyself, heal thyself, then know and heal others. So, yeah.
Yeah, it changed your life, Sean, as it did all of ours.